I remember seeing BioShock for the first time at E3 2006 before it was released later in 2007. It was by far the most interesting game trailer I saw at E3 that year. The underwater city setting, strange combat powers, and gruesome violence were so unlike anything I had seen in a game before. When I eventually got my hands on the game, it also played unlike anything I had experienced before, having at that time never played its spiritual predecessors, the System Shock games. BioShock's combination of shooting mechanics, light RPG and puzzle-solving elements, and high level of audiovisual presentation were unlike anything else around at that time. I remember being struck by how cinematic and directed the game felt. It felt like a movie. It felt like an amusement park ride where you're barraged by an overwhelming presentation of audiovisual effects that all spring to life as you pass by them. BioShock's atmosphere was so unique and refreshing, and it absolutely captivated me. BioShock takes place in the 1960s and follows the story of a man named Jack, who at the beginning of the game survives a plane crash that leaves him swimming in the middle of the ocean. You guide Jack away from the burning plane and to a lighthouse, the only structure visible in the vast ocean other than the flaming, sinking wreckage. Investigating the interior of the lighthouse reveals a bathysphere, which takes you deep underwater and eventually reveals the massive underwater city of Rapture, where the remainder of the game takes place. The trip to Rapture is accompanied by a voiceover from a man named Andrew Ryan, who introduces himself as the creator of Rapture and conveys that he built the city as a haven free from external social, political, or religious influences. But of course, upon entering the city, it's immediately obvious that something has gone very wrong in Ryan's utopia, and now masked and bandaged psychotic murderers known as splicers roam the remains of Rapture. You're contacted via radio by a man named Atlas, who urges you to assist him in rescuing his family, who he claims has been trapped in the bathysphere dock by Andrew Ryan. Atlas warns you to be wary of splicers, who were previously Rapture's human residents, driven insane from abuse of a drug called Adam. When processed, Adam becomes something called a plasmid, which when injected into a user's bloodstream can rewrite genetic code and grant its users dangerous and powerful new abilities. In addition to traditional firearms and melee weapons, plasmids serve as your main defense against splicers and Rapture's other many dangerous inhabitants. The use of plasmids also rewards players for their environmental awareness. For example, the Electrobolt plasmid is extra effective when targets are standing in water. Similarly, the Incinerate plasmid is effective when used on oil spills that can be found throughout Rapture. Experimentation with BioShock's many plasmid powers is one of the most rewarding parts about the game. In fact, the game seems to reward experimentation and clever planning in general. For instance, when splicers are hurt, they often seek out a nearby health station to heal themselves. In addition to being used by the player to heal themselves, these health stations can be hacked to yield cheaper healing prices and to damage any enemy that tries to use it for themselves. Or the player can choose to simply destroy the station, which yields several consumable first aid kits. Rapture's hostile security robots can simply be destroyed, they're weak first Electrobolt or armor-piercing rounds, or they can be hacked to aid the player in battle. There's a multitude of options available to the player on how to dispatch enemies, and it's fun and rewarding to experiment with the game's many systems to find a playstyle and strategy that best suits you. There's also a moral choice element to BioShock. Little sisters, human girls who have been implanted with a parasite and mentally conditioned to hunt for and gather Adam, are plentiful throughout Rapture. They and their powerful Big Daddy protectors are neutral to the player upon encounter, but Big Daddies will go hostile if they or the little sisters are attacked. Dispatching a Big Daddy leaves the player with a choice: rescuing or harvesting the little sister. Harvesting kills the little sister and grants the player a wealth of Adam, which can be used to purchase new plasmids and other useful upgrades. Rescuing the little sisters yields very little Adam and gives few immediate bonuses, but rescuing multiple little sisters can unlock powerful plasmids later in the game. BioShock is a wonderful blend of an immersive and atmospheric environment, a memorable story, and well-designed game systems that reward the player for experimentation. While BioShock's sequels improved on some mechanics, I don't think they ever recaptured the brilliance of the original game and its great blend of atmosphere, story, and game mechanics.